was dumb, and um, the mic messed up, and then also the way that I was recording, it wasn't in the right frame and rate, and I just okay. But here we are. We're doing this again. Love this for us. Happy Monday. Hope you guys are having a good Monday. I am kind of a hot mess right now. My camera is also slightly tilted, so I'm gonna fix that. There we go. Just, when Mondays are just like, you're a little bit like, God, what is going on? You're like trying to keep it together, but you're like, this is a hot mess out here. That is my Monday, and I am trying my best. It's just everything is currently a mess right now. So, but no, I have figured out a way to take these because people are asking if I could make these into a podcast so you guys can just like see all of it instead of just like the chopped up pieces you get to see on TikTok. So now we have two podcasts. Would you look at that? Because this is going to be turned into a podcast too. You can click it in the link in my bio. It's just going to be super unfiltered. It's not going to be anything really um, planned, is what I was going to say, or like very filtered and like executed at that level. The Jesus Revival podcast, though, is fire flames. A lot of great content pieces are over there, and it's going to be fire. And that comes out in 2 weeks, so I'm really excited for that. But this is just going to be us having a conversation, possibly daily. I don't know what it's going to look like yet because your girl's trying. So I hope you guys enjoy these. I hope that it lightens up your life as much as it is lightening up my mind. Okay. So the question of the day was asked, and this is what they asked. They asked for my perspective on dating, and I have a lot of opinions about this, but I don't know. I try to keep it nice because, don't want to offend all the people. You can't offend everybody. But when it comes to dating, I mean, is there like a right and a wrong way? Yeah, but like for me personally, it's not really something that I'm focused on. But I know that like here's what I'm going to say. Dating's not really a big deal to me just because I'm really absorbed in what God has called me to do. Do I want to be married? Yes. Is that the main thing though? No. I just feel like I want to be able to one day go to my husband and talk about all of the amazing journey that I've had before him and what God's done in my life, and then get to walk that journey then together. And I want to show him the history that I have with the Father before we ever come to be one, right? So I don't know. I think I'm in this place where I'm like, I know a lot of people that are getting married and things like that, but they don't know who they are and they don't know what they're called to. So I'm like, this is kind of a train wreck because you're looking for something inside of someone instead of inside of Jesus. And some of you guys are going to be like, I don't know exactly what you're saying. I'm saying this. If you don't know what God has called you to and you don't know who you are in his eyes, being married is not going to fulfill you. It's going to honestly wreck you because you're going to begin to look for something inside of that person that you should have been looking for inside of Jesus, and they're going to let you down and you're going to get disappointed. And that's another journey with the Father, right? But when it comes to dating and things like that, like, am I like against it? No. Honestly, people have asked me, like, do I think dating in high school is okay? You want me to be real with you? I don't care if you date. I don't care if you date in high school. I really don't. But I'm going to ask you this question. Are you madly in love with Jesus? Are you reading your Bible every day? Are you praying and stewarding your relationship? If those answers are no, you shouldn't be in a relationship with anybody. You should be in a relationship with Jesus. That's just me being very honest. If you can't steward yourself, you should not be in a relationship. And that goes not just for people in high school, but that goes for everybody. If you cannot steward yourself, dating is not where it's at for you right now. The only person you should be figuring out is you. And that's just me being so honest about it because it's just a mess. It's why we got a mess, because if more people could figure out who they were in Christ and what he's called them to, they would treat people better. They would love better. they would understand the relationship they're actually looking for. There's a lot of people that are longing to be known and for all of these things, but they don't even know who they are in the eyes of God. So dating is, I don't know, for me I'm just kind of like, whatevs. But I've also, like, I think for me too, the reason that it's not a big deal is because I haven't met anybody that I've been like, oh yeah, I could see myself married to you. That's me being really raw and honest with you. Like, there's been people in my life that, like, yeah, I've dated, but then after I was like, did I date you out of boredom? Yes. So it's just like, it's just like this thing of like, when I really, really started cultivating my relationship, I realized that the dating and being single, it just wasn't a big deal to me anymore. It was just one of those things where I'm like, you know what, when the right person comes along, great. And I will say this too, like, I know some people are like, well, have you even tried, or are you even looking at that? Yeah, I have. Like, but honestly, I can figure out from my friendships if I want to even get into a relationship with somebody. Like, through hanging out and being friends with people, like their personality, am I attracted to that? Do I find them? I honestly could say I haven't found that at all. Like, I'm just kind of like, I'm good. Like, I am steady coasting good. And that's a lot of my friends too. They're all like, I haven't even found anybody that I'm like attracted to. So that's just not going to work out for us. So, and if you are, sometimes there's like, I'm not going to be like naive about this. So sometimes there are attractive people, like they're good looking, but then they start talking and you're like, no, like, no, that's just a mess. Like, so, but I will say this, I'm not somebody who's like really stuck up about relationship that's like, I'm so far progressed than you. I'm not like that at all. I honestly, all that I really want when it comes to dating, and you can use this too, is I want somebody who's willing to say, I'm imperfect, but I'm trying to become better. I'm trying to steward. I'm trying to grow my relationship. If there's no fruit, I don't want to ever be around that tree. Why would I want to attach myself to somebody without any fruit? It just makes no sense to me. So and I'm not talking about like they have to be like bearing so much fruit. I'm just saying like there's a difference between people who are growing and people who aren't. People who are stewarding and people who aren't. There's just a direct difference. And I think a lot of us have noticed that inside of the church. So, like, you see people, but you're like, they got no fruit. You don't realize it now, but like that's actually what you're looking for. You're actually looking for fruit, and when you're like, oh, they're attractive, but then there's nothing there. You're like, what is that? It's that they have no fruit. So you're just like, okay, I'm good. Like, I'm over that. So, I'm not gonna do a rant or anything like that. I actually want to share something that the Lord gave me yesterday. I was at service and I got wrecked. Like, I got wrecked by God yesterday, and He gave me this really cool word. And whenever I get words, I, one, try to discern them, of course, but also, like, usually they're for, like, encouraging people and things like that, and showing them who they are in the eyes of the Father. That's usually the, like, prophetic words that God gives to me. And so this one was different. It was this whole word about Jesus coming. And it was this word about how he's on the horizon, and like to get your oil ready. And I literally was like sitting there like weeping, but in the middle of this word that he was giving to me, he was like, I need you to sing the songs for the ones that got lost in the valley. I need you to pray deeper for the ones that got lost on the journey. And I was like wrecked. If you're like me, I have people in my family that don't follow after the Father anymore. Like, when we were growing up, my parents were in ministry, and all of us were after Jesus, like, wholeheartedly, and that's over the years just drifted away, and things have just happened, and deconstruction and things like that have happened in my family, and it's broken my heart. It's broken my sister's heart. It's broken one of my other brother's hearts, like, because we know the calling that God has placed upon my family. Like we just know it. And so when I was like hearing this word, I knew he was talking about my family, and it was so crazy to watch the love of a father even in the midst of sending Jesus to return, right? For Jesus to come back, he's like, but I love them so much, and I want you to keep contending for them. And for me, if you're like me, I've just been a little bit dry lately where like I'm like, okay, God, like what's next? And I haven't really been praying for my family or my friends that are lost as deeply as I used to, just because I've just been in a kind of a stale place. And so it was one of those moments where I was like, God was like reviving the flames to begin to contend for the lost again, to begin to believe that I'm going to see them return. And so the word was so good, but it progressed even deeper beyond that. He started to tell me about how I'm going to be able to reap the benefits of those that have come before. And that's for all of us, for our generation. We're going to get the benefits of what other generations have already stewarded. I know a lot of times we like look at the church and things and we go, man, it's a hot mess. Like, what did you guys do? But also there are those that have been contending for revival for longer than most of us have been alive, that have been in the secret place with the door shut longer than we could ever. And they didn't quit. They have so much history and longevity with the Father, and we get to benefit from the rewards of that. And I truly believe this is what the Father was trying to say. I'm going to bring unification back to the body. One of the big things in culture is, and even you can see it in the church, is this divide of generations. And I believe that revival is going to come from unification. And when God was like explaining to me all of these things, like I saw my grandfather, and one of the things my grandfather did every morning at 5 a.m. was he would walk down to his office, open up his Bible that he's had all his life, and pray and read his word. And he would pray over every single one of us in my family. And that he was showing me was, there are those that have come before, that have contended, and look what you get because of it. And as I was listening to the Father, and I just had tears like streaming down my eyes, I'm trying not to cry right now, but I looked up and I saw this older guy with his hands raised in worship, and I broke down because I was like sitting there and I was like, I want to see Jesus. Like, I want to see him so much. I want to always give him the most beautiful offering because he gave me the most beautiful gift. And so as I was looking at this man who is worshiping Jesus and has so much history, I was just overwhelmed with gratefulness, because there are so many in the older generation that could have walked away, but they believed and contended, and they fought like my grandfather had for me. They fought for you to be where you are with the Father. I know a lot of you guys are like, well, I'm here because of my choices. No, there was probably somebody who came before that was in the secret place and said, I'm going to believe and I'm going to stand in part for my family for the generations to come. And I believe that when our hearts begin to shift in gratefulness for what they've done, I know that it's not been perfect, but if we can look at the good and pick out the good things and leave the bad, watch what God will do upon the earth. When we begin to honor those that have come before, the authority that we have as a generation will shift. And I truly believe that God is trying to bring our hearts into alignment with his. And he goes, I know that it hasn't been perfect. I know they didn't always do it right. But would you look at them with grace and love too? He's coming. I just want to encourage those of you guys that have been walking and it's been a little stale, a little dry. He's coming. Would you get alone with him today, because he's coming? Would you let your heart shift instead of being moved by the offense of those before, but in the gratefulness of what they've stewarded in the secret? Because he's coming. That's all I got. I cried again. I hate when I cry every time. Oh my goodness. Yeah. A lot of you guys are about to see a freaking overflow of Jesus in your life, of just love. And I'm so excited for you. So, that's all I got. I hope you guys have an amazing Monday. I hope this encouraged you. I hope I maybe answered your question. I don't feel like I did, but I tried my best. So, love you. Have a good day. Goodbye.